TYT Sports, talking boxing as always with our guy Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. Robert, how are you?
I'm good. You, Rick?
I'm doing good. James Kirkland, one of the more notable fighters that we have come to see, and maybe one of the most entertaining fighters in the year 2012 is James Kirkland. 30-1, 27 knockouts. The one loss, of course, came via first-round knockout to the glass hands of Nobuhiro Ishida when he did not have Ann Wolfe in his corner. However, his last fight, as we saw, was fight of the year in 2011, it seemed. He overcame a first-round knockdown to Alfredo Angulo on Angulo's home turf in Cancun. And you know what? He came back in that fight. He knocked down Angulo. He knocked him out in the, I believe it was the 6th round. However, going back to that fight, would you say, Robert, that him beating Angulo, who is known as a very good fighter, was a career-saving win for James Kirkland?
I think that's an excellent description of what that fight was. I mean, he did need a win, and he went into enemy territory. He went to Mexico, went to another country to fight one of that country's great fighters in Angulo. And Kirkland not only got punished in the first round, but he picked himself up off the canvas. He looked at Angulo and said, what the hell am I doing down here, and how did you put me down here? And got up and continued to fight. And basically destroyed Angulo. It was definitely a career-saving victory.
Something that needs to be noted, however, was that when he did get knocked down, and yeah, he may have had that mentality like, what am I doing on the ground? It did take him a while to recover, and he did, behind what appeared to be a much improved defensive game for James Kirkland. How much would you say that his defense has improved?
Well, I think it has improved. I think Ann Wolfe is a terrific trainer, and I think she's much underrated, in part because she doesn't have a stable of champions, and then in large part, because she's a woman. But I think she's a terrific trainer and especially a terrific motivator. She and James are sort of operating on the same wavelength. And the two of them are like brother and sister, like mother and son, like trainer and fighter. They really understand each other. They speak the same language. And the effect she's had on his life and on his career is simply off the charts.
In the other corner, he is fighting Carlos Molina, who, although his record is not the prettiest at 19-4-2 with 6 knockouts, his story is somewhat intriguing. He hasn't lost since 2007. He had a draw with Erislandy Lara. He beat the living crap out of Kermit Cintron in July, and then Top Rank simply cut ties with him, and he paid the bills by being a sparring partner. I ask you, why did they let him go? And why couldn't he find a fight after the Cintron fight?
I'm not sure why they let him go. I mean, there are all sorts of personal reasons in all these decisions. We don't know much about his private life. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All we really know about Molina is what we see in the ring. I'm sure they let him go for a very good reason. Either they felt as though he was not a sort of solid investment, his future was limited, he was not fan-friendly because he doesn't have much of a knockout punch. This Cintron fight accepted. And Top Rank has got some of the greatest fighters on the planet, and they felt as though he was not really a significant addition to their stable, so they let him go.
Some people have written in the blogs and all over the internet, as we will say nowadays, was it that he fought too well against Kermit Cintron. However, wouldn't he still be employed because he fought too well? Or is it that they don't want to put him up against their better opponents and their prize fighters?
Well, that's hard to believe that he fought too well against Kermit Cintron. I mean, Kermit Cintron has been a questionable presence in boxing for quite a while. He's one of those fighters who had all the potential in the world and really didn't live up to all the potential in the world that he represented initially. And I can't imagine that Top Rank, with its deep stable, couldn't find a place for Molina. I suspect that there are other reasons. And again, I don't know what those reasons are, but we're dealing, again, not just with fighters and their one-loss records, but also with personalities. And perhaps those personalities simply did not mesh.
Ann Wolfe was quoted as saying, and this is not word for word, but she was quoted as saying, saying that they want to go out and kill. They don't want any meat that's already been killed and chopped up and prepared for them. They want raw meat. They want to go out there and have the eyes of the opposing animal look at them, and they want to go out there for the kill. This isn't exactly going out for the kill, as Molina is 19-4-2 with only 6 knockouts. However, would you say that this is not necessarily a much needed win, but a win is very important nonetheless for James Kirkland and Ann Wolfe?
Well, I think Kirkland should be fighting for a title at this point. I'm happy that Kirkland is getting fights, any fights at all, because we know that he's a fighter that many other fighters are avoiding for obvious reasons. I mean, he is as tough as nails. He gets knocked down by tough guys, and he gets up, and he basically beats them to within an inch of their lives. Kirkland is serious business. And Ann Wolfe talks about killing raw meat, and that's sort of Ann Wolfe's style. And it's charming, and it's great motivation, but I don't believe that Molina is going to have enough to give Kirkland much trouble Saturday night.
Let me ask you this, Robert. How much does boxing benefit from the likes of James Kirkland?
I think it benefits enormously from the likes of James Kirkland. I mean, there are so many different fighters, different types of fighters, and different styles of fighters. And for every slickster who's out there, it's great to have somebody who can counterbalance that by being a power puncher, who's rugged, who comes forward, who really mixes it up. And frankly, I love both styles. I don't prefer one over the other. And I think Kirkland fulfills a need in boxing, and that is a need for incredible excitement and anticipation as one of his fights approaches. So he's a valuable commodity, not just to Ann Wolfe, but also to boxing.
If he wins, and I'm totally on board with you that he deserves a title shot, but if he wins, do you think he will get his long-deserved title shot?
Boy, I mean, it's boxing. It's so hard to say. Just because it's long deserved and just because he earned it, it's just because everybody wants to see it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. As you know, promoters and sanctioning bodies don't want to lose the goose that lays the golden egg. They don't want to risk their fighters suffering a loss as though a loss were the end of the world. And Kirkland, whoever he's fighting, is a dangerous customer. And who wants to risk it? Who wants to put their top fighter in with somebody who could destroy them in an evening? And not many people. And although it would be good for boxing, it would be great for boxing fans, it would be great for Kirkland, it doesn't mean it would be great for the sanctioning bodies and great for the promoters. So it may not happen.
I'll give you one name, only because he was quoted as saying it. Lou DiBella said that if James Kirkland wants to fight tomorrow, we'll fight tomorrow, as in Lou DiBella's fighter, Sergio Martinez. However, he said, we will not go down in weight. Kirkland has to come up in weight. Can you foresee that fight ever happening?
Not really. I mean, how much weight is Kirkland supposed to come up in weight to fight Martinez? I mean, Martinez is such a sophisticated fighter. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it would be a smart fight for Kirkland to make for a couple of reasons. One is that he would probably lose. Two is Martinez, great though he is not a marquee name. He should have been a crossover star several bouts ago, and he is still not a crossover star. He's barely even a boxing star, and all the more the pity because he is a fantastic talent. But I don't think that James Kirkland is ready, or he may never be ready for Sergio Martinez.
And give me the quick scenario if he loses. What fight will happen? What will happen with his career in your eyes?
Well, I don't think he's going to lose. So the question is so speculative, I can hardly even go there.
Okay. All right. Well, then let me ask you this. You say he's going to win. You think he wins by knockout? You think he wins before the 6th round? What do you think?
I do. I think he wins by early stoppage. I can imagine it being before the 6th round. Kirkland's going to come out cruising for bruising, looking to do some serious damage, and whatever Molina has to give, Kirkland is going to take and give back twice as much.
Let me ask you this very quickly, because we're talking about, promoters don't want to put their prize fighters up, or their even very good fighters up against the likes of James Kirkland. So would it benefit him to possibly go more rounds? Possibly? I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what you mean by going around. I mean, he could go to all these other opponents' matches. He could sit in the front row. He could scream and demand that he wants to fight them. I mean, he can draw attention to himself, but he's a sort of very modest and soft-spoken guy. He's very sort of humble and self-contained. I don't know that that's his personality, to sort of jump in the ring after a fight and saying, "Give me a fight."
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying not necessarily put on a show and deceive the audience, but maybe just not necessarily even take your foot off the gas pedal, but just try and go a few more rounds to say, well, he beat Angulo in 6, but then he beat Molina in 9, and, maybe this is a good fight for us now. I mean, something along those lines.
I believe it's easier said than done, Rick. Once a man is out there, and once he's in the ring, and all the juices are flowing, the adrenaline is pumping away, I mean, he is out there to search and destroy. And for him to sort of rein it in anticipation of a possible fight that may never happen, seems foolish. Kirkland's strength is his power and his resiliency and his will. And if those aren't the things that he displays, which have gotten him where he is today, and it's why we're talking about him right now, for him not to display those in anticipation of some imaginary fight, which seems like a serious miscalculation.
Well, regardless, even though Carlos Molina is from Chicago, I am still rooting for James Kirkland because, as we have said many times, I think we've even been talking for almost a year now, James Kirkland still deserves a title shot. I hope he wins, and I really hope he gets it.